Close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath. Feel the weight of the day begin to lift as you settle into comfort. Tonight, we are not here to solve puzzles or face challenges. We are here to wonder. Imagine looking up at a sky untouched by city lights, a velvet canvas of infinite depth. For thousands of years, humanity has looked at this same sky. But what if I told you their sky was different? That the maps they drew, etched in stone and written on papyrus, show stars and patterns that we cannot find, stars that by all logic shouldn't exist. There is no need for alarm. This is not a story of fear, but of profound, quiet mystery. A gentle lullaby from the distant past. Allow this cosmic riddle to be the soft current that carries you away into the calm, peaceful ocean of sleep. Before we begin our journey, let us set the scene. For ancient civilizations, the night sky was everything. It was a clock, a calendar, and a compass. The Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Greeks. They were not just stargazers, they were meticulous observers. Their survival and their culture were woven into the celestial tapestry. They tracked the patient procession of the planets, the predictable cycle of the moon, and the comforting familiarity of the constellations. These star maps were among their most sacred and practical creations. They were humanity's first great attempt to understand its place in the cosmos. So when we find a detail on these maps that doesn't align with our sky today, it is more than a simple error. It is a whisper from the past, a question mark hanging in the cosmic dark. And tonight, we will listen to those whispers. Soft, ambient music begins and continues faintly underneath the narration. Come, let us begin a journey. Not with a step, but with a line. Imagine a single thread of ink, a whisper of charcoal on stone. This is where all maps are born, in the quiet space between the known and the unknown. The first map is not a chart. It is a breath, a gesture, a deep and human need to say, I was here. This is my world. The weaver's hand feels the motion, the slow, deliberate pull of a pen across a surface. It is like weaving. Each line, a thread pulled taut. A river is a silver thread, spun from a distant mountain. A coastline, the intricate fringe of a great blue tapestry. You are the weaver, and the world is your loom. With every stroke, you are creating a story. Not with words, but with shape and shadow and space. The texture of the paper beneath your fingers is the texture of the soil. The deep, rich black of the ink is the color of the earth at midnight. This is more than a drawing. It is a ritual, an act of translation, taking the wild, breathing chaos of the world and giving it a gentle, quiet form. You are not conquering the landscape. You are in conversation with it, listening to its secrets and whispering them back onto the page. An earthly canvas. We begin with what is familiar, with what we can touch. We trace the veins of a river system, like the veins on the back of a hand. We build mountains with soft layers of shadow, one upon the other, until they have weight and presence. A smudge of grey becomes a forest, dense with memory. A curve of blue becomes a bay, holding the silence of the water. Each map is a self-portrait. It shows where we have been, the paths we have walked, the shores we have dreamed of. It is a prayer made of geography, a silent song about home. We fold these maps like precious letters. We carry them close. They remind us of who we are, and where we belong in the grand, sprawling poem of the land. They are a comfort, a promise that even in the most unknown places, there is a pattern, there is a way, a sky of ink, and then, when the map of the earth is done, when every river has found its sea and every mountain has been named, we do something remarkable. We lift our gaze. The same hand that drew the valley now reaches for the void. The same eye that measured the coastline now measures the cosmos. The familiar impulse returns, the need to chart, to understand, to weave a story from the scattered points of light. For what is the night sky if not another ocean, vast and deep, and calling for a map? The stars are not just random embers, they are destinations, anchors in the velvet darkness, and we, the patient map makers, begin again. With a new canvas. A canvas of infinite black, the celestial tapestry. We dip our brush not in ink but in light. We connect the dots, finding pictures in the chaos, a hunter, a swan, a serpent, a queen. We are not just charting light, we are charting our own dreams, our fears, our oldest stories. This is the most sacred map of all, drawn on the ceiling of the world. Each constellation is a chapter, each nebula a smudge of divine paint. The Milky Way, that shimmering river of dust, becomes the ultimate shoreline, the edge of a map that seems to have no end. For centuries we have done this. Every culture, on every continent, has looked up and begun to draw, to weave the stars into meaning, to create a celestial reflection of our earthly home. These star maps are our oldest heirlooms, our most profound works of art. They are a testament to our undying hope, that we are not lost, that even in the overwhelming emptiness, there is a pattern. There is a way home. We feel the world beneath us. The ground that holds you is not still. It is breathing, a slow, ancient rhythm. Oceans rise and fall in a sigh that lasts for ages. Mountains are born from fire, only to be worn smooth by wind and rain, worn down to silent sand. Great forests drink the sunlight, then return to soil. A green tide, endlessly flowing. Even the memories we hold, the stories we tell, they shift like dunes in the desert. Nothing on this earth truly holds its shape. It is a world of beautiful, constant becoming, a river of change in which we are all carried along. And so, in the quiet of the night, we look up. You feel the cool air on your skin. The sounds of the day have faded to a gentle hum. And there, above it all, is the great stillness. The deep, velvet black, pricked with diamond light. We look up from our transient world, and we find a map that does not change, a source of profound, unwavering peace. This is our inheritance, the sky of our ancestors, the eternal fire. Here we find our anchor. In this vast, silent theatre, the players are always the same. The same patterns of light you see tonight were seen by the first eyes that ever looked to the heavens with wonder. The great bear circling its northern throne, the hunter, Orion, his belt a trio of perfect jewels, the scorpion, its tail a curve of starlight in the summer sky. They are the fixed points of heaven, the celestial constants. For the mariner on a lightless sea, they were a compass. For the farmer planting seeds, they were a calendar. For the philosopher, a glimpse of perfection. For the dreamer, a canvas of infinite possibility. Their light travels across unimaginable gulfs of time to arrive here, now, as a promise of order, of permanence, a truth written in an eternal, unwavering fire. This is the great comfort of the stars. They remind us that some things endure, that in a world of endless flux there is a foundation, a grand cosmic architecture that holds steady. But now, let your mind drift on a gentle current. Let go of certainty. Just for a moment. Breathe in and breathe out. And consider a whisper, a question that has echoed in the quietest corners of thought. What if this grand, unchanging map is an illusion, a magnificent, comforting story we tell ourselves against the dark? What if the permanence we cherish in the stars is simply a matter of perspective. A dance so slow, so vast, that our short lives cannot perceive its movement. What if the eternal fire is not eternal? What if it flickers and dims and moves? What if those fixed points of heaven are not fixed at all? Imagine the page of a book where the words are slowly, silently rearranging themselves. What if the sky is such a book? What if the stars we trust to guide us are themselves on a journey we cannot comprehend? What if everything we thought was still is also flowing? Before we can understand the maps, we must first understand the map makers, not with the lens of history, but with the soft focus of a waking dream. We see them not as figures in a textbook, but as fellow travelers in the dark. For their work was not a science of sudden discovery. It was a ritual of profound patience, an act of devotion carried out over lifetimes. The Watcher's Vigil. Let your mind drift back, through the silent corridors of time. Settle on a high place. A great ziggurat piercing the Mesopotamian night. The air is cool and dry. The scent of distant fires and baked earth hangs in the stillness. Here, a lone figure keeps watch. A priest, an astronomer, a keeper of the celestial clock. Feel the cool, worn stone beneath you. Look up with his eyes. The sky is not a distant canopy. It is a living entity, a vast, breathing ocean of black velvet, scattered with diamond dust. There is no city glow to wash away the fainter stars, no ambient noise to distract from the whisper of the wind. There is only the night, and him. His tools are not of polished glass or intricate brass. His greatest instrument is the one we all share, the human eye, trained through years of dedicated gazing, sensitive to the slightest tremor of light, the most subtle shift in position. In his hands he holds not a telescope, but a simple sighting staff, perhaps, a reed, a plumb line, to measure the slow arc of a rising constellation against the edge of the temple. In his lap, a tablet of soft, damp clay. It waits, like a quiet pool of water, to receive the reflection of the heavens. His stylus, carved from bone or wood, is an extension of his will, his memory. He does not search for novelty. He does not hunt for comets or chase exploding stars. His purpose is far deeper. He is here to confirm the sacred rhythm, to witness the eternal dance, night after night, season after season, year after year. He watches the moon wax and wane. He notes the precise point on the horizon where a familiar star first reappears after its seasonal absence. He traces the wanderings of the 5 visible planets, those restless gods moving against the steadfast pattern of the fixed stars. Each observation is a prayer. Each mark on the clay is a verse in a cosmic hymn. This is not a task of hours, but of decades. A single human life, a single thread woven into a tapestry of immense scale. A river of knowledge. He is not the first to sit here, nor will he be the last. The knowledge he possesses was not born in his own mind. It was poured into him, a slow and steady stream from the generations that came before. Imagine his teacher, an old man with eyes that held the memory of 1,000 nights just like this one. Imagine the quiet lessons on this very terrace, the passing of the stylus from a wrinkled hand to a young one, the low murmur of voices sharing the secrets of the sky, the star lists, the catalogues of celestial events, the timings of eclipses. They were not mere data. They were a sacred inheritance. Clay tablets, fired and stored in ancient libraries, formed a chain of observation stretching back into the mists of time. Each new astronomer did not begin with a blank slate. He began with the accumulated wisdom of his ancestors. His duty was to guard that knowledge, to refine it, to add his own lifetime of seeing to the great ever-flowing river, to make his own careful marks upon the clay, knowing they would be read by his apprentice's son, and his son's son after that. This was a covenant, a promise made between generations to never, ever look away. They knew the sky in a way we no longer can, not as an object of study but as a familiar landscape, a second home. They knew its moods, its cycles, its deepest secrets. They could read its patterns as we read the words on a page. So when these devoted, patient eyes recorded something that did not fit, when their hands drew a star that should not be, or a shape in a constellation that is no longer there, we must pause, we must listen. For they were not describing a fantasy, they were bearing witness. And so we drift through these silent galleries of the past. We see the patient hands that carved the sky into stone, the focused eyes that traced the moon's long silver thread, the cultures that saw their own souls reflected in the infinite. Each map a promise that we are not adrift, that there is order, a rhythm, a great cosmic dance that we are a part of, and it is within these careful records, these patient chronicles of the night, that we find our first whisper of the impossible. A story not written on papyrus or clay, but breathed from one generation to the next. A map held not in the hand, but in the heart, the river of knowledge. Let your awareness travel now. Feel it float on a warm breeze, over endless dunes of golden sand, to the heart of West Africa, to the sheer cliffs of Mali. Here, sheltered by the rock and sun, live the Dogon people. A civilization with roots that reach deep into the earth and traditions that reach for the heavens. Their knowledge is not stored in libraries. It is stored in ritual, in the intricate steps of a sacred dance, in the patterns woven into their masks, in the stories told to children under a canopy of stars so clear you feel you could reach out and touch them. For the Dogon, the sky is not a distant canvas. It is a living ancestor, a storyteller, and they have been listening very carefully for a very long time. A star of invisible light. Their celestial stories center on one brilliant point of light, the star you know as Sirius, the dog star, the brightest jewel on the throat of night. They watched it as all ancient people did. They mapped its rising and its setting. They welcomed it as a herald of the seasons. But the Dogon knew something more, something else. They spoke of a companion, a second star circling the first, a secret partner in a 50-year dance. This is not so unusual, you might think. Many stars have companions. But this star, this companion, cannot be seen. It is invisible to the naked eye, a ghost in the machine of the cosmos, hidden in the brilliant glare of Sirius itself. They called it Potolo, the seed star. They said it was small, the smallest thing in the sky. And yet they also said it was the heaviest, made of a divine metal so dense that all the people of the earth together could not lift it. They drew its long elliptical orbit. They knew its 50-year cycle. They knew its nature, small, heavy, and invisible. Knowledge that our own astronomers would not confirm, would not even possess, until their most powerful telescopes were turned towards the heavens, centuries and centuries later. And so we are left to wonder. Floating here, in the warm desert night, we look up at the same bright star they saw. And we listen to this ancient, impossible truth, whispered on the wind. How did they know? How did they chart the path of a star they could not see? From what distant shore did this seed of knowledge travel, to be planted in the rich earth of the Dogon soul? Let your mind drift now, away from the scattered diamonds of our own night. Let it travel on a warm wind, across oceans of sand and memory. We are going to a place etched by time, the sun-baked cliffs of Mali in West Africa. Here, sheltered in the arms of the ancient stone, live the Dogon people. Their homes are one with the earth, their spirits are one with the sky. The star at the navel of the sky, for us, it is Sirius, the dog star, a brilliant solitary point of light in the winter sky. But for the Dogon, it is so much more. It is Sigitolo, the star of the Sigwi. It is not just a star, it is an anchor, the cosmic nail around which the entire universe turns. It is the center, the beginning. Their calendar is not a measure of days, but a measure of its light. Their rituals are not just traditions, but echoes of its celestial rhythm. They watch it from the high plateau, feeling its silver pulse in the cool night air. It is the first thing, the most important thing, a lighthouse in an ocean of infinite black, the invisible heartbeat. And here the story deepens. Here the map begins to show a world beyond our sight. Because the Dogon do not speak of one star, they speak of two. Sigitolo, they say, has a companion, a hidden twin, a star so small and so dense you cannot see it with your eyes. They call it Po-Tolo, the star of the fonio seed. Imagine the smallest seed you have ever seen, a tiny grain that holds the promise of life. This, they say, is what the second star is like, infinitely small, and yet they also say it is the heaviest thing in the universe, a seed of collapsed light, a point of impossible weight, so heavy it bends space and time around it, a star made not of fire, but of essence, of something ancient and eternal, a 50-year dance. This invisible star, this Po-Tolo, is not still. It moves. It traces a path around the bright star we can see, a slow, elliptical orbit, a cosmic dance that takes 50 years to complete. 50 years, a human lifetime. This 50-year cycle is the foundation of their world. It governs their most sacred ceremony, the Sigi, a ritual of renewal, of death and rebirth, that honors the rhythm of the stars. They draw the orbit in the sand, a sacred oval, a map of a journey they have never seen, yet have always known. They feel its rhythm in their bones, the slow, steady heartbeat of their creator star, a 50-year breath taken by the heavens, the river of knowledge. And you may begin to wonder, how could a people, without telescopes, without our modern tools, how could they know of a star they cannot see? How could they map its 50-year journey? The Dogon have an answer. It was not a discovery. It was a gift. Their stories do not speak of astronomers. They speak of teachers. Beings they call the Nomo, amphibious spirits who came from the sky long ago. They descended in an ark that spun and roared, and they brought with them the life-giving water. They brought the seeds of civilization, and they brought the knowledge of the heavens. They told of the invisible star, of its immense weight, of its sacred 50-year dance. The knowledge, they say, did not come from looking up. It came from a river of wisdom, flowing directly from the Sirius system itself to the heart of their people. A truth whispered not from a book, but from a star. And so we drift back to that one star, the focus of their celestial charts, the star we call Sirius. To us it is a solitary monarch of the night, a single, brilliant point of light, so bright it seems to hum in the cold, clear air. It is the dog star, a beacon in the winter sky, a familiar friend. We look up and see one magnificent star. Our eyes report a single, lonely fire. And yet, in the quiet dust of their ancient knowledge, the map shows something more. Their charts do not depict a lonely king. They show a family. They speak of a second fire, a tiny, secret companion. This is the gentle paradox that rests at the center of their sky. A secret heartbeat, beside the great blazing furnace of Sirius. They charted a second point, a star so small and so dense it is almost unimaginable. A cosmic ember collapsed in on itself, a point of impossible weight, wrapped in a faint, pearlescent glow. They called it the smallest thing in the sky, and also the heaviest, a star we now call Sirius B, the companion. And here is the quiet truth that sends ripples across the still pond of our understanding. This star, this tiny, heavy companion, is a ghost. It is completely, utterly invisible to the naked eye. Its faint light is consumed, overwhelmed by the brilliant glare of its larger partner. You could stare at Sirius every night for a lifetime, and you would never see it. No one can. Our own science, our own maps of the sky, were blind to this secret for millennia. It was not until the 19th century, with eyes of polished glass and brass, with telescopes powerful enough to pierce the brilliant veil of light, that we finally saw what they had drawn all those centuries ago. We discovered the secret companion, the tiny, hidden heart, the star that should not have been known. And so we are left floating, adrift in a beautiful silent question. How did they map a star that cannot be seen? How did their hands draw the orbit of a ghost? Let this question be a soft blanket. There are no sharp answers here. There is only the deep, resonant mystery, the gentle wonder of a truth, whispered across the ages, from their sky to ours, a secret shared in the dark. Let us drift now toward the brightest jewel in the night's crown, Sirius, the dog star, a brilliant, unwavering point of blue-white light. You know this star. It has guided sailors and inspired poets for all of human history. It feels singular, a beacon of solitude in the deep. But what if this brilliant light was not alone? What if it held a secret, a companion dancing in its blinding glare? A secret whispered across millennia, not by astronomers with polished lenses, but by a tribe in West Africa, the Dogon of Mali. They knew of this companion. They spoke of it in their sacred rites. They called it Po Tolo, a name for what we might call the ghost companion. In their ancient tradition, this companion star was described with impossible clarity. They said it was small, the smallest thing in the sky, and yet impossibly heavy. Imagine that feeling, the weight of something immense, held in a space no bigger than a pearl. They spoke of a substance heavier than all the iron on earth, as if a mountain were crushed into a single grain of sand. They described its orbit, a slow 50-year waltz around its brilliant sibling, a patient, invisible dance, known only to them. Modern astronomy, with all its power and reach, eventually found this hidden star. We call it Sirius B, a tiny point of light, lost in the fire of its partner. We call it a white dwarf, but that name feels too simple, too clinical for the deep dream of space. Think of it instead as the ember of a once great fire, the final glowing heart of a star that lived and died long ago, a cosmic ghost, still warm, still impossibly heavy with its past, a silent memory that has ceased its grand burning, but not its journey through the dark. It is the echo of a song whose singer is long gone, and here the river of time grows still. Here the quiet question settles like dust in a sealed room. This ghost star, this Po Tolo, is completely invisible to the naked eye, not faint, not difficult to see, impossible. It is a whisper, next to a roar, a firefly, caught in the beam of a lighthouse, Our own powerful telescopes struggled for centuries to find it, to confirm its existence, to trace the very orbit the Dogon had described all along. So we must ask, as we float in this cosmic quiet, how did the Dogon know? How did they chart the 50-year dance of a ghost they could not see? What ancient eyes, what borrowed knowledge allowed them to map this impossible, invisible world? The map lies before us, drawn in sand and story, and the star it points to remains a perfect, silent mystery. A new current in the river. Let us drift for a moment. Let us allow our thoughts to follow a different stream, one that feels different on your skin. This one carries the scent of salt and distant lands. It speaks of ships you can almost see on the horizon, of new voices on the wind, speaking in unfamiliar rhythms. The river of time has many tributaries. It is a vast and complex delta. We see how many streams can flow and merge, each changing the other. Imagine with me, one ancient, powerful river, the deep, knowing current of ancestral lore. It flows with a patient, steady power, carrying stories you feel have been etched in starlight for 1,000 years. Now picture another stream arriving, a newer current, perhaps a swifter one, flowing from across the vast ocean. It carries with it different tools, different textures of knowing. Polished glass that drinks the faint light of impossible stars. Gleaming brass instruments that measure the sky with cold precision. Charts drawn with sharp ink, there rustle a new sound in the quiet air. A knowledge of angles and numbers whispers across the water. Could it be that these two rivers met? Not in a clash of waves, but a gentle mingling at the edges. A place where the waters swirled together, creating new patterns, where stories were exchanged like precious, smooth shells upon the shore, where one truth did not have to erase another. Perhaps travelers, their faces weathered by sun and sea, missionaries, their books filled with a different kind of faith, astronomers, their minds filled with a universe of equations. They carried their own maps of the heavens. They, like us, looked up at Sirius with awe, and through their glass eyes they saw its tiny, secret companion. A pale ghost dancing in the glare. A secret they might have whispered. Not as a lesson from on high, but as a shared wonder. A moment of connection we can still feel today. You see this star? We see it too. And look, we have found its hidden child. A point of communion under the same canopy of night. This new knowledge, this whisper from another world, it may not have replaced the old stories, it may not have silenced the ancient songs, but perhaps it added a new thread to the loom, a shimmering silver thread, woven into a tapestry already rich with meaning, a new verse in an ancient song you can almost hear on the breeze. We can think of this not as an answer that erases the mystery. Let's not see it that way. Instead, see it as another layer to its profound beauty. The true wonder isn't just in the isolated knowing, but in the connection, in the sharing, in the way a piece of truth can travel on the breath of a human voice, across deserts and oceans, through heat and hardship, to find a new home in a story that was already waiting for it. The sky we all sleep under is the same sky they saw, and the human need to understand it, to tell its story, to map its soul, is a deep, primal current that flows through all of us, uniting shores that once seemed impossibly far apart. The starlight touches all our faces, and our stories of it, our attempts to understand, touch each other, becoming something richer, something new, something still filled with a beautiful, endless, and quiet mystery. But how, your drowsy mind may ask, how could they know? We are creatures who seek foundations, solid ground beneath our feet. We look for a line of reason, a clear path from cause to effect. But the Dogon do not offer an explanation in our modern sense. They offer something far older, something much deeper. They offer a myth, a story that breathes, a story as profound and still as water in a desert well, reflecting the light of a star that has traveled for an eternity to meet your gaze. It is a legend to drift upon, a current to carry you into the deepest streams of sleep. Let us listen then to their whisper across the void. In the dream time of the world, long before the first lines were written in the sand, a voice fell from the sky. It was not a sound of thunder, but of water, a gentle arrival. They say an ark descended, spiraling down like a maple seed, turning and turning in a silent, graceful dance. It spun with the light of a dying red star, and landed with the softness of a falling leaf, one part in the earth, to root the gift of knowledge, and one part in the water, to purify it. This was the coming of the teachers, and from this vessel emerged the Nomos children. They were not beings of flesh and bone as we know them. They were the instructors, the monitors of the universe, beings of water and light, fluid and ever-changing. Imagine them, if you will, half human, half serpent, at home in the endless ocean of the sky and the cool, quiet depths of the earth's waters. Their skin held the shimmering green of new life after a long rain. Their voices were not spoken words, but frequencies, a song that resonated in the water of the body, a vibration of pure knowing. They were the amphibious ambassadors of a distant star, bringing with them the harmony of the spheres. They came not to conquer, but to complete, to weave a missing thread into the tapestry of our world, and their teaching was a gift from the water stars. They did not hold lectures or draw diagrams on stone. Their teaching was a communion. They gathered the ancestors by the river Niger, under a sky unpolluted by earthly light, and in the stillness of that ancient night they shared the soul of the cosmos. They imparted the knowledge not to the mind, but to the spirit. They revealed the nature of the seed from which all of creation sprang, the smallest and heaviest thing, the star they called Po-Tolo. They described its journey around its brilliant sister, a celestial waltz that measures the rhythm of generations, a 50-year cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. They sang of its density, a star made not of light, but of essence, so heavy that a single grain would weigh more than all the grain in all the world's granaries. They spoke of its orbit, an egg-shaped path that maps the very shape of time, and they whispered of its unseen companion, Eme-Ya, and the moon that circles it, another layer to the cosmic secret. This was not astronomy as we know it. It was sacred poetry, a blueprint of existence given in trust. This knowledge was never meant to be proven. It was meant to be remembered, a lullaby of the stars, passed from one sleeping soul to the next, a promise that we are not adrift in a meaningless void, but a part of a vast, interconnected cosmic ocean. Having planted their seed of wisdom in the heart of humanity, the Nomos' work was done. They receded, melting back into the water from which they came, their forms dissolving into shimmering light. They returned to their ark and ascended back into the deep sky, leaving behind only their story. A story that lives in the rhythm of the harvest, in the shape of their masks, and in the quiet reflection of a hidden, impossible star, in the deep, knowing eyes of a people who remember their teachers from the sky. So we are left with this echo, this ancient, impossible knowledge, a story of a star no eye could see, a companion to the brightest beacon in our night sky, a tiny, dense point of matter, a cosmic seed impossibly heavy. The Dogon called it Po-Tolo, the star of the 10th moon. They described its long, slow orbit, 50 years to trace its path around its brilliant sister. They spoke of its nature, a star made of a metal heavier than all the iron on Earth. And modern astronomy, with its powerful lenses and calculations, eventually found it. Right where the old stories said it would be. A white dwarf, faint, dense, and locked in a 50-year dance. How? How did a people in the cliffs of Mali chart the path of an invisible sun? The question hangs in the air, soft and luminous as starlight. Perhaps the answer is not for us to find. Perhaps it is not a puzzle to be solved. The gravity of a story. Does it truly matter how the seed of this knowledge was planted? Whether by visitors from that same star system, as their stories suggest, or by some profound, intuitive listening, a deep connection to the rhythms of the cosmos that we have since forgotten. The wonder is not in being right or wrong. The wonder is in the connection itself. The beauty is in a culture that built its ceremonies, its art, its entire worldview, around the gravity of a tiny, hidden star. To carry a map of the unseen not on paper, but in your soul. To feel the pull of something you cannot see. To trust the story handed down through 1,000 sunsets. That is a different kind of seeing, a different kind of truth. A truth woven into the fabric of a people, holding them together, like the gravity of the star itself. The sky they knew was not just a ceiling of scattered lights. It was a home, a family, and it held secrets meant just for them. But the secrets of the sky are not always about hidden things, waiting to be found. The universe holds other kinds of ghosts, echoes of lost light. Every star you see is a messenger, a photon that has traveled across an ocean of time to reach you. The light that graces your eye tonight began its journey long, long ago. When you look up, you are not seeing the sky as it is now. You are seeing it as it was. You are looking into a deep well of history. That pinpoint of light, it may be from a star that was shining when the great pyramids were new. That other, fainter one, its light may have left home before humans ever walked the earth. We are time travelers every time we gaze at the heavens. We are looking at a grand celestial illusion, a painting made of light that is ancient, and in some cases, light from a sun that no longer exists. Sometimes the anomalies are not about seeing the invisible, but about seeing things that are no longer there. Let us drift backwards now, past the familiar constellations we trace with our minds, past the names we learned as children. We are floating to a different time under a different sky. Or rather, a sky watched with different eyes. In the heart of an ancient empire, the world moved to the rhythm of ritual. The sun rose and set, the seasons turned, and the heavens were a perfect divine clockwork, a mirror of the world below, the celestial scribes. Imagine a city of silent courtyards and sleeping dragons carved in stone. The air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and distant incense. High above the curved rooftops, on a solitary observation tower, a figure stands. Dressed in silk, they are motionless, a silhouette against a sea of stars. This is not a poet, nor a dreamer. This is a guardian, an imperial astronomer. Their task is not one of discovery, but of vigilance. They are the eyes of the emperor, the son of heaven. And their gaze holds the weight of a dynasty. For it was believed that the harmony of the cosmos was tied to the harmony of the empire. Any change in the heavens, however small, was a message, a ripple in the celestial mandate. So they watched, night after night, generation after generation, with a patience we can barely comprehend. They were not searching for new worlds. They were ensuring their own world remained in balance. Their charts were masterpieces of precision, drawn on scrolls of silk and paper. Every star had its place. Every constellation told its story. The sky was a known quantity, a tapestry woven with familiar light. And then, one night, in the deep, quiet dark, a change. A point of light where yesterday there was only emptiness. A new bloom in the endless garden of the night. It was not on the charts. It did not belong to any known celestial house. It was a visitor, an uninvited guest. And so they gave it a name. A simple, elegant name. Kershing, a guest star. The astronomer does not panic. They simply observe. They note its position, its color, its brightness. With a brush of fine wolf hair, they grind a stick of ink on a stone slab. A drop of water brings the black to life. And on a fresh sheet of rice paper, a new entry is made. A character is drawn. A date is recorded. A guest has arrived in the heavens. The perfect, unchanging tapestry now has a new thread, a luminous temporary stitch. This record, this simple observation, is a seed planted in the river of time, a whisper sent across centuries, a question asked of the silent, watching dark. What are you, and why have you come? The sky above our ancestors was a scroll of constants, a map of forever. The patterns were a promise, a clockwork of gods and seasons repeating their silent, beautiful story. We knew their names, we knew their paths. They were family. But the universe, in its quiet way, sometimes adds a new verse to its poem, The Guest Star. Let us drift back across the slow river of 1,000 years. Imagine a morning, heavy with the scent of damp earth and wood smoke. You look up to the familiar, comforting arc of the night sky. And there it is, a trespasser, a stranger in the house of heaven. It was not there the night before. Of this you are certain. Your memory of the sky is a map etched behind your eyes. And this new light, this intruder, is a tear in that map. It is not a soft glow. It is a shout, a silent, silver shout that outshines everything. It burns with a clean, fierce fire, brighter than the evening star. Brighter even than the crescent moon. The other stars, the old friends, seem to dim in its presence. They shrink away, like shy children before a king. A hush falls over the land. Whispers travel from home to home. Eyes wide with wonder are all turned to the same point in the tapestry above. Then comes the true impossibility. The sun begins to rise. The deep indigo of night bleeds into the soft grey of dawn. Then the pale blue of morning. The familiar stars dissolve, as they always do, washed away by the golden tide of daylight. But not this one. The guest star remains. It holds its place against the blue, a ghost of a diamond, a tiny defiant fleck of brilliance hanging in the day. This is the moment that breaks the mind. A star, visible in the full glare of the sun. It is a contradiction, a celestial riddle with no answer. The sun is the ruler of the day. The stars are the children of the night. This is the law. And here, that law is broken. What does it mean? Is it an omen, a message, the birth of a new god, or the death of an old one? There are no words for this, only a shared, silent awe, a feeling that you are witnessing something profound, something that will be carved into rock, painted onto scrolls, a story to be told by your children's children, the light that lingered. For weeks it stayed, a loyal companion to the moon by night, a pale miracle in the sky by day. It became a new constant, a temporary anchor in the cosmic ocean. People watched it as they worked the fields. They pointed it out to their children. This beautiful, impossible visitor. And then, slowly, gently, it began to fade. Its brilliant shout softened to a whisper. Its daytime presence became a memory. Until one night, it was simply gone. The sky returned to its old familiar pattern. The map was restored, but a space had been left. An echo in the mind of everyone who saw it. They had seen a flower bloom in the eternal garden of the sky, a temporary jewel whose light had travelled for ages just to arrive, and to be seen, to be wondered at, by you. And so we drift back to that silent visitor in the sky, the star that should not have been there, the point of light that arrived without warning and vanished without a trace. We have called it a guest, but perhaps a better word is an echo of an impossible event. A final bloom. This celestial traveller, this shimmering guest, was not a birth. It was not the arrival of something new. We were mistaken. What those ancient eyes witnessed, etched into their patient maps, was a magnificent farewell. It was the death of a giant. Imagine a star, a truly colossal sun, many, many times larger than our own. For eons it burns with a steady, quiet fury, a slow cosmic furnace, transmuting the void into light. But nothing, not even a star, can burn forever. Its long life draws to a close. Its heart grows heavy, and for a time it holds its breath. An immense, quiet pressure builds at its core, a silent tension across millions of miles. The star gathers itself, pulling all of its being inward, compressing an entire lifetime of light and gravity into one singular, impossibly dense point. And then, in a moment that is both an end and a beginning, it exhales. It lets go. The guest star was not a star at all. It was an explosion, an event of such power that our words can only circle it, like moths around a flame. We call it a supernova, the final defiant bloom of a dying sun. What those astronomers saw was a single moment of release, a final brilliant burst of light that cast a shadow on every other star in the sky. For a few precious weeks, that single point, that ghost, blazed with the light of 100 billion suns combined. It was brighter than the entire galaxy it called home. A temporary lighthouse in the cosmic ocean, shining with a light of unimaginable intensity. They were seeing the star's entire life, its whole fiery history, unleashed in a single, silent roar. A final, beautiful, terrible shout into the endless night. They were not charting a new object, they were charting a memory. They were drawing the last light of a magnificent death, an event of creation and unraveling all at once. The universe had opened one of its countless eyes, and for a brief, glorious time, it had stared back. Let us drift now, following that ancient ink, a line drawn on brittle parchment, a whisper across 1,000 years. They pointed us to a quiet space in the heavens, a dark, velvet fold nestled between the horns of the celestial bull. There, they saw a visitor, a guest star they called it, a light of impossible brilliance, a fire that burned in the daylight sky and outshone all else in the night, a sudden, fleeting beacon. And so we turn our own gaze, our modern eyes, to that very same spot. We adjust our lens, not a lens of glass, but a lens of wonder. What do we find in the place where a star once flared into being and then vanished from sight? What cosmic memory lingers there for us? The celestial flower. We find not emptiness, but a masterpiece of cosmic art, a cloud of luminous, tangled light, the most beautiful scar in the heavens. Imagine a flower blooming in slow motion, its growth measured not in days, but in centuries. Its petals are delicate, glowing ribbons of rose and sapphire gas, gently unfurling into the deep, silent void. A celestial blossom, woven from starlight and time itself. Each shimmering thread is a memory of the fire, still traveling outward, still expanding. a silent, graceful journey from a distant past. It is like a single breath held for a millennium, now gently and endlessly released into the cosmos. It is a ghost, the gentle ghost of a mighty star, a luminous spirit left to wander the eternal star fields. At its heart there is a tiny rhythmic pulse, a glimmering diamond heart, beating with the steady, quiet energy of what remains. The ghost's own quiet soul, a remnant of impossible density, singing a silent, spinning song of light. You can almost feel the colors as you drift closer. Feel the warm glow of hydrogen, a soft, cosmic rose, the ethereal, cool blue of oxygen, a color deep and dreamlike. It is a vast tapestry, woven from a star's last, magnificent breath. This is not a violent ruin. It is a tranquil garden, a place of serene, ever-expanding beauty. The ancient observers saw the sudden flash, the brilliant, shocking moment of its birth cry. We are fortunate enough to witness the long, quiet echo, the slow, unfolding dance of its memory, that simple notation in their sky atlas, that careful observation of a star that should not exist. It was never an error. It was an invitation, a treasure map left for us by our distant ancestors. The X on their map does not mark a lost star, but the discovery of this celestial flower. Their ancient eyes have guided our own gaze across the vast, silent ocean of time, leading us directly to this impossible and breathtaking view. A quiet reminder that sometimes the most beautiful things are born from the things that have passed away. We have walked through celestial gardens where new suns bloomed for a season. These guest stars, they were cosmic fireflies, brief, brilliant flashes in the long, dark night. They arrived unannounced, a sudden stroke of light on the velvet canvas. Ancient astronomers watched. They marked their charts. They wondered at the sudden visitor who burned so brightly, and then, just as quietly, slipped away. A memory etched in ink, a story told for a generation. But the cosmic ocean has tides that flow in two directions. It gives, and it also takes away. What if the mystery is not about a sudden light, but a gradual silence, not a star that arrives, but a star that departs without a trace? We turn our gaze now from the brilliant visitor to the empty chair. The silent departure. Imagine an old, familiar map of your hometown, a map you've known your whole life. You know every street, every landmark, every ancient, sprawling tree. Now imagine looking at that map one day, and a familiar building is gone. Not in ruins, not replaced, just absent. The space it occupied is now smooth, empty earth. This is the nature of the mystery we now approach. We are not speaking of stars that flare and die in a spectacular supernova. Those are the grand farewells, the final fiery curtain calls. We are speaking of something quieter, something far more unsettling. We are speaking of the lost ones, the permanent residents of the celestial sphere, who simply ceased to be. For centuries, these stars were anchors in the night. They were the reliable signposts for sailors, the fixed points in the sacred geometries of priests and astronomers. They were woven into the very fabric of the cosmos. Their light was a constant, a steady hum in the universal symphony. They were named, they were known, they were trusted. On charts from ancient China, from Greece, from the astronomers of Baghdad, they appear generation after generation, unchanging, eternal, until they weren't. There was no recorded explosion, no chronicle of a great and sudden light, just an absence, a quiet edit in the celestial text, a page where a well-known character is suddenly, inexplicably written out of the story. One generation maps a star, and the next generation finds only darkness, a subtle, chilling void where a beacon once shone. Where did they go? Did they simply burn out, like a candle flame gently pinched between cosmic fingers? Did they drift away so slowly that no one noticed their departure until they were long gone? Or did they collapse into something that consumes light, a dark seed planted in the heart of a sun? The maps offer no explanation. They only present the puzzle. A before and an after. A presence. That became an absence. This is a deeper quiet, a more profound mystery. Not the loud arrival of a guest, but the silent, unexplained departure of a friend who was meant to stay forever. And as you drift deeper now, we can feel that quiet question hanging in the velvet dark, a celestial whisper. What happens when a star just disappears? Let us drift now, further back, through the warm Mediterranean nights. Imagine the world seen through ancient eyes. The sky above Greece, above Alexandria, is not a void. It is a theatre of the gods, a living storybook, open for all to read. The celestial pageant here, every point of light is part of a grander tale. We see them not as distant suns, but as characters in an endless silent drama. There is the mighty Heracles, his muscles coiled in starlight, forever performing his labours. We see Andromeda chained to her cosmic rock, waiting for a hero to set her free, and Orion, the great hunter, with his belt of 3 perfect jewels, striding across the winter sky, a promise of the cold to come. These are not just patterns, they are family, they are warnings, they are memories etched in light. The immortal heroes, painted on the deep velvet dome of night, their stories whispered on the wind from one generation to the next. In this world lives a man named Claudius Ptolemy. He is not just a mathematician, but a librarian of the stars. In the great city of Alexandria, surrounded by scrolls and the scent of aging papyrus, he does something remarkable. He attempts to map it all, to create a definitive guide to this celestial pageant. His great work, the Almagest, becomes a cornerstone, a map we would follow for more than 1,000 years. He charts the wandering course of planets, the steady silver dance of the moon, and the precise placement of over 1,000 fixed stars. He is meticulous, patient, precise. And as we trace his delicate ink lines, we follow his gaze to the southern skies, to the great constellation of Centaurus, the wise, noble centaur, teacher of heroes. We see his powerful form, half man, half horse, galloping across the river of the Milky Way. Ptolemy marks the stars that form his body, his legs, his strong shoulders. And he notes a particular star, a bright point of light near the centaur's powerful foreleg. A clear, steady jewel he adds to his grand catalogue. He gives it a number. He confirms its place in the heavens. A ghost of light, he saw it. He recorded its position, its brightness. Other astronomers of his time, and before, had seen it too. It was a known marker in the sky, a familiar face in the celestial crowd. But now, we look. We follow Ptolemy's ancient map to that very spot in the sky. We gaze with our powerful telescopes, our modern eyes, and we see nothing. The space is empty. The star is gone. There is no swirling nebula from a great explosion, no dying cinder that our instruments can detect. It is simply absent. The page in the star book has been somehow erased. Was it a star that flared brightly for a few centuries, a temporary visitor that burned out, leaving no trace behind? A celestial nova that the ancients witnessed not as a fleeting event, but as a permanent fixture? Or was it a mistake? A ghost in the machine of history? a collective dream of a star that never was? We may never know for certain. We are left only with the quiet testimony of an ancient chart, a map of the heavens that shows a landmark, a bright and shining jewel, where now there is only the deep, silent, and endless dark, a ghost of light, still shining brightly in the pages of a book, but vanished completely from the sky we share. And so we are left with a ghost, a point of light on an ancient map, with nothing but empty, silent space in its place today. But what if the star wasn't lost? What if we are simply looking at the wrong time? What if the answer isn't a disappearance, but a change? A slow, cosmic shift, too vast for our fleeting lifetimes to notice. The slow exhale of light, imagine a light that breathes, a gentle, rhythmic pulse in the heart of the cosmos, inhaling light for 1,000 years, and exhaling darkness for 1,000 more. Perhaps what the ancients saw, what they carved into stone and painted on papyrus, was the star at its brightest, the peak of its celestial breath, a brilliant, steady beacon. And what we see now is the long, quiet exhale, a soft ember dimmed over centuries, fading into a peaceful sleep. Not gone, just resting. Its rhythm is the rhythm of eons. We are simply living in the gentle pause between its heartbeats. A cosmic sigh that lasts for generations. The light hasn't vanished. It has merely softened, withdrawn into itself, waiting for its time to glow once more, a bloom in the void. Or perhaps the explanation is even more ephemeral, more fleetingly beautiful. Think not of a steady breath, but of a sudden, brilliant bloom, a celestial flower that blossoms for a brief, glorious moment in the cosmic garden. What if this star was a nova? Not a death, but a spectacular moment of life, a sudden, intense flare, a final radiant sigh from a dying star that for a year, or a decade, or a century, outshone all of its neighbors. It would have been a new jewel in the sky, a wonder for the watchers on the ground, a sign, a portent, a sacred guide. They wouldn't have known it was temporary. To them, it was a new, eternal truth of the heavens. And so they drew it. They mapped its place among the immortals. They captured a firefly in a jar of stone. And then, just as quietly as it arrived, it faded. The bloom wilted. The light receded, leaving behind only the memory. The maps, then, are not a chart of what is. They are a poem to what once was. A single perfect moment of impossible light, preserved forever by human hands, long after the universe itself moved on. The ghost isn't the star. It is the echo of its beauty. But perhaps we are looking for the wrong kind of answer. Perhaps the discrepancy lies not in the map, but in the sky itself. There is a deeper possibility, a slower truth, one that unfolds across a scale of time we can barely comprehend. Let your mind settle on this thought, the slow dance of ages. We see the stars as permanent, as tiny, perfect holes punched in a solid dome above us. They feel eternal, unchanging, a reliable backdrop to our brief lives. But the night sky is not a static painting. It is an ocean, vast, dark, and in constant, silent motion. And every star is a vessel upon that ocean, drifting on invisible currents of gravity, pulled in a slow cosmic tide that takes eons to crest. Their movement is a secret kept by time, a dance so patient, so glacially slow, that our entire history is but a single step, a single held breath in an unending ballet. So, a star that your ancestors saw. A point of light they etched into stone, a pearl they threaded into a familiar constellation. That star has not vanished. It has simply drifted, Over 10,000 years, or 50,000 years, it has sailed silently out of its old formation, a ship leaving the harbor of its brothers and sisters, a lone traveler continuing its journey across the dark. The pattern breaks, the celestial story changes its words, and what was once a perfect map of the heavens becomes a memory, a beautiful, accurate ghost of a sky that no longer is. Feel the quiet stillness of the night around you. The air is cool on your skin. Your breathing is slow and deep. And as you settle into this peace, we look up together. We see the familiar patterns, the old friends of the night sky. They seem so permanent, so eternal. A masterpiece painted once and then left for all time. But the truth is a gentler, more beautiful story. The canvas is not static. The paint is not dry. The celestial river imagine the sky not as a ceiling, but as a vast, dark body of water. A river flowing so slowly that its movement is invisible to a single lifetime. Each star is not a fixed point, but a mote of light drifting on an unseen current. They travel together in great, silent streams. Their journey measured not in miles, but in millennia. What we call a constellation is just a momentary arrangement, a chance meeting of travelers on a long, winding road. Let your mind drift with them now. See the Big Dipper, that familiar shape, that celestial signpost. In this slow, cosmic river, its handle is gently bending. Over countless centuries it arcs and curves, a silver branch slowly bowing under the weight of time. The two stars at the end of the ladle drift one way. The stars in the handle drift another. The shape we know is slowly dissolving, like a drawing in the sand at the edge of a quiet tide. Now turn your gaze to Orion, the great hunter. See his belt, 3 perfect jewels in a straight line. So precise, so intentional. But even this bond is temporary. The celestial thread is loosening. Over an immense expanse of time, the 3 stars are slowly, so slowly, drifting apart. The belt is unbuckling. The perfect line is becoming a gentle curve, a soft, elegant scattering of light. The sky is breathing. With every long, slow epoch, the patterns shift. The lion loses its mane, 1 star at a time. The great square of Pegasus warps, its corners pulling away from each other. The familiar pictures we see are like clouds. For a moment they look like a dragon or a ship, but they are always in motion, always becoming something new. This is not a violent change. It is a gentle, hypnotic unfolding, a celestial dance choreographed by gravity. The stars are not frozen in place. They are flowing. And as you lie here, breathing in and out, you are flowing with them. You are part of this silent, endless river of light, this slow, beautiful, cosmic drift. We have been tracing the quiet anomalies, a single star, like a misplaced grain of sand on a vast, dark shore. A constellation, tilted by a breath, a whisper of a degree. These are the subtle signatures of time, the gentle smudges of memory on an ancient page. We have followed these threads, these delicate inconsistencies, wondering at the hands that drew them and the eyes that saw them. But now, allow your focus to soften. Let the lens of your awareness pull back. From the single thread, we now look to the entire tapestry. From the one note, we listen for the chord. Because sometimes the puzzle is not a single, misplaced piece. Sometimes the entire picture is different. A sky from another time. Imagine holding a map, not of the earth, but of the heavens. You recognize the shapes, the familiar anchor points of your celestial home. But as you look closer, a profound sense of dislocation settles over you. It is a feeling like hearing a beloved melody played in a key you have never known. The notes are right, but the feeling is other. The relationships between the constellations have shifted. The very angle of the cosmic ocean feels tilted. You are looking at a sky that is true, but it is not the truth of now. You are holding a portrait of a sky from a different age entirely. These are the deepest riddles etched in stone and ink. Not just a star that has moved, but an entire celestial sphere that seems to belong to a forgotten yesterday. Or perhaps a place that is not this place at all. It is a quiet, profound impossibility. A perfect memory of a time that should have had no witnesses. To understand this, we must travel. Let your mind drift on a warm current, down a river of immense and ancient memory. Let us go to the land of black soil and golden sun. We are in Egypt, we are breathing the dry, sacred air. And we are approaching a temple, nestled by a bend in the life-giving Nile. We are standing at Dendera. Here we do not look up to the sky of night. We enter the cool darkness of the temple, and we look up to a ceiling of stone. The stone celestial carved into the sandstone above is a disk, a perfect circular map of the heavens. It is the famous Dendera zodiac. It is not a simple star chart, but a flowing, living procession. Here we see the figures we know. The lion, the woman holding a sheaf of wheat, the celestial twins. They are all there, a silent parade of cosmic archetypes. They move around the central point, the unwavering pole star, in a dance that is both astrological and astronomical. It feels complete. It feels authoritative. A perfect, balanced wheel of time and space, captured forever by a master craftsman. The figures are rendered with such life, such purpose. You can almost feel the slow, grand turning of the heavens that it depicts. It is a universe in miniature, a divine clockwork passed down to mortals, and it is breathtakingly beautiful. But the quiet wonder it inspires soon gives way to a deeper question. A question that hangs in the still air of the temple. The puzzle of this beautiful map is not in what it shows, but in when it shows it. The sky, frozen in this stone, in this perfect circular story, is a sky from a time long before the hands that carved it were ever born. It is an echo from a distant, unremembered age, a celestial fingerprint left by a ghost. Let us leave the burning sun behind. Let us step through the great stone pylons, into the cool, into the quiet. The air inside this temple is different. It is heavy with centuries, and scented with dust and mystery. Your eyes adjust to the deep shadows, and you look up. You don't see a ceiling, not really. You see another sky, a sky frozen in sandstone, a heaven carved in stone. Suspended above you is a disk, a perfect circle, a cosmic wheel held aloft by dreaming gods. Your breath catches in your throat. Because this is not a dusty relic. It is not a diagram in a forgotten book. It is a living, breathing mandala of time. You can feel the artistry, the impossible patience of the hands that made it. Every line is a whisper, every curve a hymn. The figures are not static images. They are alive with a silent, eternal energy. You see the lion, not of earth, but of starlight. The scales, held in a perfect cosmic balance. The twins, forever bound in a silent celestial dance. Hippo goddesses and falcon-headed guardians move in a slow procession around the edge. They are not merely pictures of the constellations. They are the constellations themselves, given form and spirit. You feel the sacred geometry of it all, the flawless symmetry, the way everything spirals inward and outward, a whirlpool of time drawing you into its center. It is a clockwork of the cosmos, where every gear is a god, and every tick is an eternity. This is not data carved for scholars. This is reverence made tangible. This is the rhythm of the universe, captured in a single, silent moment. The great celestial river, flowing forever across a ceiling of stone. And in that temple's hush, You feel the real stars outside, echoing the stone stars above. You feel yourself becoming part of their endless, graceful turn. Let our journey drift now, floating on the dark, quiet river of time. We travel to the sun-warmed lands of Egypt, to the banks of the eternal Nile. Here, a temple of sandstone and starlight waits for you, the great temple of Dendera. Feel the cool of the stone halls, the silence held within its massive pillars. And now, look up. Raise your gaze to the ceiling of a small chapel, where a miracle of the ancient world is carved. A sky carved in stone. It is the Dendera zodiac, a celestial map, a mandala of the heavens. Not painted but etched forever into the rock. A procession of familiar figures. Leo, the lion, Scorpius, the scorpion. The 12 houses of the heavens, just as we know them. They form a perfect circle, a great cosmic wheel. Around them gods and goddesses sail their solar barks, guiding the sun, the moon, and the 5 visible planets. It is a picture of order, a portrait of cosmic harmony. A silent, eternal dance in a sky of stone. You can feel the rhythm of the universe in its design, the slow, steady turn of the ages, an echo of a lost horizon. But as you continue to gaze, as your mind softens and drifts with the images, a subtle question begins to form, a gentle dissonance in the celestial harmony, the positions of the stars, the alignment of the planets. It doesn't quite match the sky the Egyptians would have seen. The great cosmic clock seems to show a different time, a much, much older time. And here, a fascinating thought emerges, a provocative idea whispered by those who study these ancient skies. They suggest this map is not a record of its own time. It is a memory, an heirloom, a perfect copy of a sky from an age long before the pharaohs, a sky from 10, 20, perhaps even 40,000 years in the past, a time when the Earth's axis pointed to a different star, when the constellations rose in different seasons. It is a controversial thought, of course, a gentle ripple on the deep waters of history. But it invites you to wonder. What if this is a message from a forgotten dawn, a legacy from a civilization we no longer remember, preserved in stone, waiting for a dreaming mind like yours to look up and see a sky that no longer exists? And so we return to the quiet mystery, the maps left behind by hands of dust, the charts etched in stone and soul. They show a sky we do not recognize, constellations tilted at impossible angles, stars of summer shining in their winter. Why? Were they dreaming? Did they invent a cosmos of their own? Or perhaps the error is not in their charts, but in our perception of time. Perhaps it is we who are looking at a different sky, because the earth, our gentle, turning home, is not as steady as you think. The great cosmic year, imagine a spinning top, not a child's toy, frantic and fast, but a celestial sphere, ancient and slow, a sleeping giant turning in a dream. As it spins, it does not hold perfectly still. It has a slow, graceful wobble, a gentle sway from side to side, a rhythmic nod imperceptible to us, a silent conversation with the cosmos. This is our Earth. This is its deep and secret motion. A single, vast wobble, a slow, circular drift of its axis, takes nearly 26,000 years to complete. One long, slow breath, one cosmic season, a great year measured not in days, but in ages. This is the rhythm beneath all rhythms, the planet's own quiet lullaby. And with every subtle shift in this cosmic dance, our window to the universe changes. Our perspective on the stars drifts, the wandering north. We look to the night sky for a constant, a fixed point in the celestial sea. For us it is Polaris, the North Star, our anchor in the velvet dark. But this anchor is not permanent. The torch of the North is passed from star to star, over immense stretches of time. As the Earth slowly wobbles, the North Pole of our planet points to different stars, a celestial lighthouse, its beam sweeping across the heavens, illuminating a new guide for a new epoch, 13,000 years from now. The brilliant star Vega will be our guide. 13,000 years ago, it was our guide then too. So you see, the sky is not a static painting. It is a river, a celestial current flowing through time. The ancients who drew those maps were not looking at our sky. They were standing on the banks of that same river, but at a different point in its long, slow journey. Their north was not our north. Their constellations rose and set in a different rhythm. Their maps were not fantasies. They were memories, postcards from a younger sky, a sky that no longer exists, except in the echoes of stone, and the long, slow dream of the earth itself. And so we drift, suspended in the quiet space between worlds, between the maps of yesterday and the sky of tonight. You might wonder, how could they be so different? How could the ancients see a sky we no longer can? The secret is not held by the stars. It is a whisper from the earth beneath you. Feel it now, a deep, steady pulse. The world you rest upon is dreaming, and in its slumber it moves, a celestial pirouette. It is not a shudder, not a sudden jolt. It is a slow cosmic sigh, an exhale that lasts for millennia. Imagine our planet, a perfect sphere, spinning in the velvet dark, and as it spins, it also sways, a gentle, lazy wobble, a dreamy pirouette on the grand ballroom of space. Each turn, each graceful lean, ever so slightly shifts our gaze. It softly repaints the dome of heaven, frame by silent frame. The guiding star of one age becomes a simple traveler in the next. The celestial ceiling tilts with an impossible slowness, and so the maps they drew were true for them. They were a perfect portrait of a sky that has since danced away. This is the secret rhythm of the world, the lullaby of deep time, rocking you and the stars to sleep. The very ground is a dancer, and its slow waltz has changed the heavens forever. And so we drift back to the map, back to the parchment, the stone, the silk. We hold in our minds all these beautiful questions, the points of light that are missing, the stars that appeared for a fleeting moment, the constellations that seem to have wandered. It feels like a collection of errors, a puzzle with pieces from different boxes. But perhaps we have been looking at it all wrong. Perhaps it is not a puzzle to be solved, but a story to be heard. The weaving of light. Imagine the night sky not as a static painting, but as a vast, dark tapestry, a fabric woven over millennia. Each thread is a ray of light, each star a knot of luminous silk. Some threads are ancient, their colors deep and steady. Others are new, vibrant and temporary. And some threads we see have been gently unpicked, leaving behind only the memory of their color, a faint impression in the velvet dark. The ancient mapmakers were not charting a fixed thing. They were capturing a single moment in the loom's slow work, a snapshot of an eternal unfolding creation. The vanished star is not an error on their map. It is a thread that has run its course, a story that has reached its gentle end, a chorus of ghosts. And what of the guest stars? Those sudden, brilliant visitors who blazed in the sky for a season, then were gone. They are not mistakes. They are not smudges on the celestial lens. They are the weaver's sudden inspiration. A brilliant silver thread woven into the dark fabric, just for a moment. A single breathtaking flourish, the ghost of a star that has faded, and the sudden guest that burns so bright. They are not opposites. They are partners in the same cosmic dance. One is the echo of a sound, the other is the sound itself, brilliant and brief. Together they sing a chorus of impermanence. A lullaby of light that is born, shines, and then returns to silence. The sky remembers them both, and so the maps remember them too, the unseen river now. Let us think of the sky's slow drift, the way the constellations gently, imperceptibly migrate across the ages. This is not a flaw in the design. This is the breath of the universe itself. Feel the sky not as a dome, but as a river. A vast, silent river of time and space, flowing ever onward. And we, on our small world, are drifting with it. The stars we see are carried on this current. Their patterns shift like stones on a riverbed, polished and rearranged by a force too slow to perceive. The ancient observers saw a sky that was subtly different from our own, because they stood on the riverbank at a different point in time. And what of the invisible stars, the ones their maps showed but our instruments cannot find? Perhaps they are not gone. Perhaps they are simply deeper in the river's current, light that is still travelling, songs that have not yet reached our shore, whispers from a future sky recorded by ears more attuned to the silence than our own. An ever-changing map, so you see. It all connects, the star that is gone, the star that briefly was, the star that is not yet seen, the slow waltz of the entire heavens. They are not separate problems. They are facets of a single, shimmering truth. The universe is not a destination. It is a journey. It is not a statement. It is a poem, constantly being written. The ancient maps are not flawed. They are honest. They show us a sky that was alive, a sky that could change, that could surprise, that could hold secrets. They remind us that we are part of something that is not static or frozen, but something fluid and breathing and endlessly beautifully mysterious. The map is never finished. And that is the most comforting thought of all. And so, we drift deeper. Let the details of the maps dissolve. Let the lines and symbols blur. What are we truly looking at? Perhaps they are not maps of a physical sky, not a chart of what was, but a poem about what it felt like to be. A legacy of looking up. This is the true message whispered across the ages. The ink on the parchment is a faded echo. The real map is the feeling itself. The feeling of standing on cool earth, looking up into an endless velvet mystery. You have felt this. We have all felt this. It is a golden thread of curiosity, connecting you, right now, to a priest astronomer in Babylon, to a solitary builder at Stonehenge. Imagine yourself there. Feel the cool, heavy stones at your back. The night air is the same air we breathe now. The silence is the same deep, cosmic silence. And the stars are the same points of diamond light. They looked up with a question in their hearts. We look up with the same question. The names of the stars have changed. The shape of our lives has changed. But the wonder is eternal. The echo of a question, the strange constellations, the stars that should not be there. What if they are not errors? What if they are not secrets? What if they are simply the shape of their questions? A way to draw a feeling, a way to map an unanswered prayer. They are not showing us a different sky. They are showing us a different way of seeing our own, a way of seeing with the heart as well as the eye. We are not here to solve their puzzle. We are here to share in their awe, to feel the echo of their gaze as we cast our own into the infinite. We are the continuation of their glance, a river of wonder. This feeling, this shared curiosity, is a great, slow-moving river. It began in the earliest twilight of human thought, and it flows through you tonight. You are a part of this ancient, silent procession, a tradition of dreamers, of watchers, of stargazers. The real discovery is not what the maps show. It is that they exist at all. It is the breathtaking realization that for thousands of years, we have been a species that looks up and wonders. You are part of that tradition. As you close your eyes, you are simply joining the great, quiet company of souls who have laid down to sleep beneath the very same stars. You are connected. You are home. Feel the quiet weight of the air in your room, a gentle pressure, a silent presence. This air has been here for a very long time. It is an ocean, and you are resting on its floor. Now, let your mind drift back through the soft layers of sleep, through centuries that feel like silk sheets. Land beside the Nile, under a sky of deep, liquid indigo. An astronomer priest stands on cool stone. The night is breathless. He lifts his eyes to the map we saw earlier, to a point of light that should not be there. A strange star, winking with an unfamiliar color. A single thread of its light travels across the void. A golden messenger. It crosses the immense, silent distance and enters his eye. A connection is made, a secret is witnessed, but the journey of that light did not end there. It passed through him, a ghost through a wall, and continued its voyage. Onward, outward. For thousands of years it has been flying, past our sleeping Earth, past the edge of our solar system, through empty oceans of blackness, dotted with sleeping nebulae, a river of moments. That single moment on the banks of the Nile is still happening, right now. That sliver of ancient, impossible starlight is only just arriving. It is just now touching the swirling arm of a galaxy so distant we can barely imagine it. A civilization of beings we will never know might look up through their own strange telescopes and see the light from a star that vanished from our sky long before we were born. The light an Egyptian priest saw is their breaking news. Their present is woven from our deepest past. Time is not a straight line. It is a river. It eddies, it pools, it flows in every direction at once. A single event can ripple outward forever, an echo that never, ever fades. It simply finds a new shore to wash upon. The long echo. What does it mean to be connected in this way? At a glance, a moment of wonder from an ancient soul is still painting a picture in a far-flung corner of the cosmos. It means the past is not gone. It is simply elsewhere, happening again for the first time. The universe does not forget. Every photon is a memory, every star a story told over and over across gulfs of time and space we cannot comprehend. We are all living in the resonance of a single, immense event, a single, shared dream. The impossible stars seen by our ancestors, their light is still traveling, still carrying its secret message to new eyes, new worlds, a story told in a language of pure light. The space between breaths and now. Return to your room, to the quiet darkness. Listen to the soft sound of your own breathing, in and out. That breath you just took, the air that filled your lungs, it is the same space, the same cosmic fabric that held the astronomer priest. The same universe that carried that impossible starlight on its eternal journey. You are not separate from this story. You are a part of its telling. Your quiet breath, here and now, is a ripple in that same river of time. You are breathing the air of a universe that remembers everything, even the stars that should not exist. Rest in that connection. Feel the threads of light that bind us all, across the ages, across the void. We are all stargazers, dreaming the same cosmic dream. The mysteries of the cosmos can rest now. Let them rest. The questions can drift away. Let them drift into the quiet. The ancient maps can fold into shadow. The impossible stars can close their eyes. There is only the darkness now, the comfort, the soft weight of sleep. There is only the darkness, the comfort, and the soft light of distant, sleeping stars. Sleeping stars. Rest now. Drift now. Sleep. Let the star maps dissolve. Let the ancient ink fade into the darkness behind your eyes. The journey outward is complete. Now the journey turns inward. Bring your awareness to the gentle rise and fall of your own breath. Do not change it. Simply notice it. A slow, steady pulse, a quiet rhythm that has been with you all along. The cosmic breath. Feel how your own body echoes the universe. With every slow inhale, you are the cosmos, expanding. Your lungs, like gentle nebulae, drawing in the quiet air. Drawing in the peace of deep space. Drawing in the silent, silver light of those impossible stars. A soft, slow expansion. And with every long exhale, you are the cosmos, settling. A gentle release. A quiet surrender. Let the worries of the day drift out on that tide. Let them become distant constellations, too far away to read. Fading into the soft, dark velvet. Breathe in the ancient calm. Breathe out the noise. Inhale the feeling of floating in a quiet, starlit sea. Exhale the weight of the world. Each breath a slow wave, washing over you, cleansing you. Inhale peace. Exhale tension. The universe breathes with you, in and out. A slow, cosmic rhythm. Your rhythm. There is nothing else to do now. Just this, just breathe. And so, the ancient pages become light. The vellum, once heavy with time, is now just a ghost of a touch in your mind. The ink, a river of forgotten starlight, has flowed back to its source. We are letting them go now. The maps dissolve, not into dust, but into stillness, like a breath of frost melting on a warm window pane. The impossible constellations, the whispers of worlds that should not be, they too begin to fade. One by one they recede, each a soft ember dimming in the vast, quiet hearth of the cosmos. We have seen their secrets, and now we release them. A return to the void. The sky behind the maps is no longer black. It is the deep, soft, and endless calm that comes before the dawn. A canvas wiped clean of all its lines, all its figures. There are no more paths to trace with your eyes, no more celestial riddles to hold in your thoughts. You have followed the journey to its end, and now the journey's end comes to you. Feel the last of the images drift away. Like the gentle pull of a tide leaving a sleeping shore, there is nothing left to see, nothing left to know. Only this feeling, this weightless, effortless, peaceful float. You are suspended in a warm, quiet, and comfortable space, a silent harbor where you can simply be. The stories have been told, the stars have sung their strange and ancient song, and all that is left for you is the peace they have left behind. There are no more words, there is only this calm, this quiet, this deep and waiting rest. Let it hold you, let it cradle you, as you drift and dream and sleep. Our journey through the ancient skies is now coming to a gentle close. The impossible stars have faded, the lost constellations have dissolved back into memory. These mysteries are not meant to be solved tonight. They are meant to be held as a reminder of the vastness of time and the quiet wonder of the unknown. The same starlight that guided ancient mariners now filters softly into your dreams. The silence that filled the spaces between their worlds now fills your room with peace. You are connected to those ancient observers, part of a long, unbroken chain of dreamers who have looked up in awe. Thank you for traveling through time with me. Now there is nothing left to do but rest. Let go of every thought, let go of every question, and drift. Sleep well.